What's up, people? We're back with more Eden. We're in the final act. It's about 2 hours or so, I believe. So, oh god, I still can't believe that how sad it's actually been up until this very moment. But despite how sad everything has been, it's so surprising for me, at least, that both Ryou and Sion are just so content with it. Like, yeah, it's fine, we're both gonna die. Like, for me personally, when I was younger as well, I don't know why exactly, because death is such a weird and strange thing and you don't actually know what happened, but at a certain point, I remember very clearly that at a certain point, it was when I was like many years ago, but still, for some reason, death just freaked the hell out of me, that I started to wonder, like, what actually happens when I die, and that actually freaked the hell out of me. So the fact that they're just so calm about it and just content with the situation that they're in right now, even if I knew that there was no way around it and I would just die on this planet, some part of me would always just sort of freak out in a way, I think. I mean, you obviously won't know for sure until you're actually in that situation, but still, I find it really surprising. But it shows that both of them are just solely there for each other. Like, if you're there on your own, sort of, and you're like, fuck, I'm here until the end of the world, well, what the fuck, and then you would definitely start to freak out. At least I would. But they're just not even focused on that. When it happens for them, but they're just gonna cherish and spend every single day, moment, minute, second with each other and just enjoy and make the best out of it. So yeah, that's what they're gonna do. When I knocked and opened the door, she was already awake. She sat upright and gazed aimlessly with a dazed look in her eyes. Morning, Sion. I walked up to her bedside with a tray which contained breakfast for two. Good morning. Sion gave a tiny nod, her eyes drowsy. Yo, about face. Huh? Why? Was she that out of it? I looked at her doubtfully as she shook her head side to side. I'll get up today. I'll also eat my breakfast in the dining room. You went to the trouble of bringing it to me too. Sorry. Sion, you don't have to force yourself. Today is an important day, so I'll get up. What's most important is my health, I know, but still, sorry. I've been saving up strength to get up today. I'll be fine. Got it. When it came down to it, I couldn't fight her. Who could look into those determined eyes and say no? They were different from those innocent eyes of a mere child. Those eyes possessed both honesty and the strength which had never been sullied despite the many years behind them. Ryou. Yeah, I understand. I won't stop you from getting up anymore. Not that. I want to change. Oh, sorry. I turned around and headed for the door. It felt to me as though Sion had changed in some way since Maya left. Before, she had mentioned wanting to get into the bath together, but lately it was common for her to get oddly embarrassed. I'm sure it was a change for the better. Well, that sort of means that she's becoming more human in a sense, right? Because that part of her was always sort of lacking because of the fact of how she grew up and that she's a felix as well, I guess. So it's not part of her human nature, I guess. Whereas for normal humans, like, feeling embarrassed about those things is definitely a big part of human nature. I feel like everyone has that for the most part. Like, sure, there are exceptions, but exceptions don't really make the rule. Thank you for the meal. The breakfast menu was modest as always, consisting of bread, egg salad, and a vegetable soup. However, Sion only took a small sip of the soup. If you don't eat a little more, it'll be bad for your health. Sorry for not finishing, but at this point, it won't affect the end result significantly, even if you increase my portions. I wanted to ask her what result she meant, but held my tongue. Since Sion would, without a doubt, answer point blank. You eat the rest. I nodded silently and pulled her leftovers over to me. Our food situation wasn't so well off that we could throw any away. Yo, if you're finished eating, it's okay. Do you want to go outside? Yeah, I want to see it with my own eyes. Oh, is it the day when the last colony ship leaves? You can't even see anything from here. I know, but I think just lazing away, sitting in bed, and waiting for the moment to come is far too irresponsible. I see. I gobbled down Sion's leftover bread in one bite. After all, this is the end. Wow. Oh, 9:51:41 a.m. So 9 o'clock, 51 minutes, or 9. I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce that correctly. It's 9 o'clock, 51 minutes, and 41 seconds in the morning. I checked the digital display on the military-issued wristwatch I hadn't worn in some time. This watch, created with a stress on precision and durability, could endure use even on the battlefield. It had never failed me and continued to tick away accurately. Looks like it's just about that time. I whispered to myself, then looked at Sion as she slowly made her way forward. It hardly showed on her face, but I sensed she was excited to some extent. Sion, you're not tired? There seems to be fewer animals and insects as of late. An astute observation. It happened all the time, so it didn't bother me that my question had been completely ignored, but still. She perceived the changes on the mountain very well for someone who was almost always bedridden. It's obvious that cries from birds and insects are diminishing, but it doesn't look like they're actually dying off or anything. Are they migrating? Probably. They might be sensing the catastrophe to come. Regardless of where they may run to, I doubt it'll make a difference. They might know that too. Even if they know that it's useless, struggling to the very end is in the nature of all living things. Animals don't think in terms of useful or useless or beneficial. They're just obsessed with living. Mankind is the same in that regard. A cold wind blew by us. Sion stopped in place and looked beyond the hill. They became obsessed, made many sacrifices, and this is the final result. It'll be very soon. Very soon, the final ship would take off into space. Upon it rode the very last person left on this planet, and all their hopes and dreams as they headed towards the future. I wonder if Maya will be on it. That woman is more cunning than she looks. There's no way she'd be left behind. Mankind will leave the planet where they were born and raised. Where do you think they'll head next? Huh? My train of thought was halted by her unexpected question. Well, once they adjust to living in space, they'll begin a journey to find a planet that can occupy and new energy sources. Not that. Sion shook her head with a thin smile. All people journey. That's a given. They've journeyed over and over again for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years, arrived somewhere, lived there, and then began their journey anew. The scale is just a little different this time. The length of time they took to prepare and the amount of bread they stuffed in their bags were larger this time. Doom was all that awaited them at the end of their long journey on this planet. I wonder what they'll do next. No matter what fate is waiting for them, humans will never cease to move forward. Even if they hit a dead end, they'll break down the walls if they have to, and create a new path just as you once did. Many lives will be sacrificed upon the rubble of those broken walls, and those memories will be passed down through the ages. I too looked into the distance beyond the hill, at the mountains which stayed the same year-round. Before long, I was sure this familiar scenery too would begin to change. How I wished I was wrong. Ryou, Aw, she's smiling. I'm glad you're here with me. Sion smiled sweetly and then took my hand. I immediately squeezed back and returned a smile of my own. Lately, I've found that I've been able to smile again. It was because she was smiling and happy. Whenever I smiled, she seemed delighted too. What time is it? Oh, let's see. I quickly looked down at my wristwatch. 9 o'clock 58 minutes and 11 seconds in the morning. AM. There were 2 minutes to go. Okay. It's about to begin. This is like the countdown to New Year's. The last of humanity's step into space shall be carved into this planet's sky. We both fell silent. We kept quiet and looked up at the sky. Though the spaceport was quite far and we probably couldn't make anything out from here, I was glad all the same. The sky was so blue, and even that ominous red star which glistened through the gaps in the white clouds seemed beautiful. The digital display of the watch read 10 o'clock a.m., the appointed hour. There was a rumble from far, far away. It was like a baby's first cry and a scream in the throes of death all at once. An ear-splitting reverberation with such force that it contended with all the celestial bodies in the distant sky ahead. I had no doubt it was an auditory illusion, but I could hear that vigorous echo plain as day, and I was sure Sion could hear it too. At some point, Sion had clutched onto Alicia's lock of hair. With it tightly gripped in one hand, she looked up at the sky and stretched her other hand towards the heavens. Go! She whispered affectionately. She turned to the sky with a smile on her face and waved her hand. Maybe, just maybe, she could see those travelers as they set out on their journey. Oh my god, that is such a beautiful moment. Like, if something that you've been working on for your entire life, yeah, and then you get to witness those final moments, or at least experience those final moments of basically seeing your life's work, that entire plan, everything that you've done that gave your life meaning, and then to see it sort of fulfill, to see it happen in those moments, that's gotta be just a fulfilling experience for Sion, I believe. Something whiffed past my eyes. When I followed it, I saw feathers fluttering and dancing against the orange-dyed scenery. Those dark-colored wings had a vivid blue pattern printed upon them. It was a swallowtail butterfly. I was seated on the grass. Sion, who was resting her head on my shoulder, let out a small murmur. Then she opened her eyes. A butterfly? Yeah, a swallowtail. A swallowtail butterfly. It's my first time ever seeing one. Really? They're not rare on this mountain. I've had a lot of firsts here. Sion got up from my shoulder and was staring vacantly at the butterfly. Hey, Ryou. Was I asleep? Yeah, fast asleep. We watched as the final ship ascended to space, and then, like someone had flipped a switch, she instantly fell asleep. I considered waking you up, but you looked like you were really comfortable. Yeah, thank you. Did you get enough? Yeah, I feel really good right now. My body and soul feel completely clear. I see. I nodded and held the lock of Alicia's hair out of her. I took care of it so it wouldn't get blown away in the wind. Given how tight a grip you had on it, it probably would have been fine either way though. Thank you. Sion took the lock and gazed at it lovingly. Alicia, my job is complete. You saved me when I couldn't do anything, Alicia. When Sion smiled, her face looked astonishingly similar to Alicia's. Yo, because you were here, I was able to see the final ship off in peace. I'm so happy. Her whisper was like a song, and as if drawn to that song, the swallowtail landed on her hand. Ryou, Sion spoke, fascinated by its wings. At long last, we're all alone in the world. Yeah, there's no one else left but us. Ryou, you're all I have left. Sion sent the swallowtail away with a gentle wave of her hand. The black winged butterfly fluttered away, carried by the wind. However, this is the world I wish for. A quiet, calm world, all alone with you. My wish is the same as yours. No further words were necessary. Sion sprung up at me, and I caught her in my arms. I held her small head against my chest. After fully feeling her warmth, I looked down and saw her eyes, welling with tears. The sight felt like a needle through my heart. Ryou. Sion touched my cheek, as if trying to calm me down. Set amidst this now uninhabited world sunset, our lips met ever so softly. Oh God. Did that really just happen? There was nothing more that needed to be done. All that remained was to wait for the curtain to drop. Unlike the stage upon which she had once performed, this time there would be no curtain call. Our days were spent doing nothing. We waited for the day that overwhelming force would mark an end to it all. On that night, we saw off the final ship. Sion collapsed. She did not wake up for 3 days. Holy crap. She is really getting weak. Poor Sion. The arithmetic sleep breathing I had grown accustomed to changed slightly. I looked up from the paperback I had been reading and shifted my attention to the girl on the bed. She's awake. Her eyelids slowly lifted, and those crystal clear eyes came into view. How many days has it been? Her eyes still pointed at the ceiling. Sion asked me in an unambiguous tone. 3 days. It'll be noon shortly. I see. With that whisper, she suddenly tried to sit upright. It was rash to do that immediately following 3 days of sleep. Lay down a little longer. There's no need to force yourself. More importantly, aren't you hungry? Thirsty? I'm alright. I want to get up. When she insisted this adamantly, I couldn't fight her. Of course, if she wasn't at least this pushy, then she probably wouldn't have been fit to be the project's leader. Using me as support, she slowly picked herself up. Ryou, what? Were you here this whole time? All 3 days? Impossible. I shook my head and smiled wryly. I have to tend the fields and chickens, and I have to eat at some point. But you were here the whole time aside from that, weren't you? More or less. Since all she was doing was sleeping, her breathing was calm, and she didn't seem to have a fever. I hadn't been too concerned. Still, I couldn't let my guard down. Her condition could change at any time. I just sat here and read. It did get somewhat boring, I guess. I see. For some reason, Sion blushed and cast her eyes downward. You were watching me here the whole time? No, it's not like I watched you the whole time. I just checked on how you were doing now and then. It's not nice to stare at a girl while she's sleeping. Sion, do you feel off at all? Ryou, you haven't changed one bit. What would change in 3 days exactly? Never mind. Let's go outside. Outside? Again? I yelled without meaning to. Sion frowned at my raised voice, but the only one it seemed to befuddle was me. You were laying there for 3 days. Your legs must have lost some strength in that time. I won't suggest you carry me on your back or anything. You just have to support me on your side a little. But, by tomorrow, I might not be able to walk anymore. Her sharp voice and dagger-like glare was quite uncomfortable. Common sense and half-hearted sympathy were meaningless before ironclad will. Where do you want to go? I want to see the lake. Sion walked with a limp in her stride. She leaned on me if she started to fall. But even then, once she regained her bearings, she went straight back to walking on her own. Was she just being stubborn? Or could she only see what was in front of her? Whatever it was, she was trying to be strong, even now. I dreamt the whole time. What kind of dream? I can't remember. But I think it was a very nice dream. I have a feeling I heard the voices of people I dearly miss. I see. Oh, that's no good. No good? What is? Sion's eyebrows scrunched together, and a dissatisfied frown appeared on her face. I can't believe I'm talking about my dreams. Nobody cares about the dreams of others. I do care though. I'm curious what sort of dreams you have. My mental acuity really must be getting worse. Useless thoughts seem to be more abundant now. I don't think they're useless. A while ago, I met Alicia in my dreams. If not for that, I may have gone with Maya. That's because you're a romantic. A romantic? Me? Between the two of us, I thought I was more the pragmatic one. You take illusions seriously and are able to reconcile them upon ideas grounded in reality. To put it nicely, it's handy, and less than nicely, paradoxical. I don't really follow. From Sion's point of view, what was an illusion and what was reality? It's fine if you don't understand. It's enough for me as long as you keep on being who you are. The way Sion spoke and behaved since she awoke were subtly different. The only cause I could think of. It had to be that. What's wrong? Oh, it's nothing. What did the kiss we shared mean to us? Neither of us were children, so it wasn't worth making a fuss over. We simply got carried away by the mood. My gut told me this was the closest thing to the truth. Of course, it wasn't such a minor event that we could pretend it had never happened either. You don't have to worry. Huh? You gave me one more memory I can carry with me. So I'm happy. That's all. In these silent mountains, her voice resonated wondrously in my heart. I appreciated the time we were spending together all over again. It was something very special to me. In the end, it took almost twice as long as usual to reach the lake. Sion appeared quite tired and sat down immediately after arrived at the shore. At present, her breathing was steady but frantic. I poured some water into the lid of the canteen I had brought along. Here, Sion. Thank you. Drink it nice and slowly. I'm not a child. She didn't appreciate my remark, but took the lid and gulped it down all the same. It was no surprise she joked and gasped for air. Hey, what are you doing? But, come on, take it easy this time. I took the lid from her hand, filled it again, and handed it back. She tilted the lid slightly. and drank it a little at a time. Better now? Yeah. She nodded and returned the lid. It was good. We don't have an IV or anything. All I've been able to do these past 3 days is wipe your lips with a wet cloth. Lips. Uh-oh. Triggered. Sion stared, her eyes fixed upon me. She seemed to be blushing a little. Ryou. What? I may not have been blushing, but I couldn't stay calm either. Sion's figure may have retained some immature features, but she was still an unparalleled beauty. Any straight man alive who could look at her and show no reaction must surely have some sort of mental defect. Can we kiss one more time? Oh God. And here, I'd been wondering what she'd say next. Sorry, but I haven't gone so soft that I'd play along with a joke like that. There are times I get really irritated talking to you, Ryou. So even you get angry, huh? I'm only human. Sion's face went back to the way it always was as she declared that nonchalantly. Whatever may have happened, it seemed she would always switch gears at the same speed. Ryou, thank you. For what? Thank you for always watching over me. If you thanked me every time I did that, it never ended. I don't think I'll have many more opportunities. Sion picked up a pebble by her feet. After playing with her in her hand for a while, she threw it into the lake. The pebble, which fell shockingly close, sent tiny ripples across the water's surface. You've always slept a long time each night, but this is the first time you slept for 3 days straight, isn't it? If you mean without waking up once in between, then yes, it's the first. Sion picked up another pebble and whispered that. So when it comes down to it, how does it happen? How do felixes die? Sort of a strange question to ask. I remained silent and confiscated the pebble from her hand. Put it in simple terms. We start sleeping longer and waking up for shorter periods, and eventually, we just never wake up again. That is the typical trend of felix debilitation and death. The onset of unending fevers is a symptom displayed by the debilitation period begins, or before the debilitation period begins. I threw the pebble with all my strength. Far off in the distance, there was a quiet plunk and another set of ripples. Sion clapped her hands silently in admiration. That's true of you, but what about in Alicia's case? From what I saw, there didn't seem to be any abnormalities in her sleep or regular activities. Quite the contrary, Alicia knocked out several soldiers on a final day in the research facility. They were no ordinary soldiers either. They were specialized soldiers selected to protect you. They were nothing compared to me or Levi, but their skills should have been sufficient. At the very least, a feeble, debilitated girl shouldn't have been able to hold her own. Felixes don't all die the same way. However, I noticed a bitter expression on Sion's face for a brief moment. Thinking back on it now, Alicia might have suppressed her symptoms with medication. Medication? She was trained in medicine and researched Felix mortality intently in order to let me live as long as possible. It's possible she developed medication to suppress the sleeping condition during her research. So, if we could find out what medicine this is, you could... No. Sion readily shook her head. Even if such a medicine hypothetically exists, it would only stop me from sleeping for so long. It wouldn't ward off the death programmed into me. If there were a medicine capable of migrating the condition, then she should have given it to you first, huh? Not to mention, Alicia hadn't written a single line about such a medicine in a note she'd left. If Alicia had been undergoing some form of treatment on herself, it may have had some side effects in exchange for suppressing the sleep and debilitation. Now that you mention it, back then, Levi's knife didn't hit anything vital, and she hadn't suffered a lethal amount of blood loss. Even if the wound from the knife was the impetus, could it have been something else that brought her to such a quick end? She couldn't get me outside with an impaired body, so she may have tried to maintain a working body even at the cost of shortening her lifespan. I believe that's why Alicia was happy that you were there, Ryou. Because there was someone to take over after she passed on. I'm sure Alicia is delighted. Sion's smiling face greatly resembled Alicia's. It may have been naturally given that they were like sisters, but I truly believe that those two took after one another. It was clear to me that Sion had inherited Alicia's kindness. Delighted? That would be nice. It's all hypothetical in the end. Honestly, I don't know the truth myself. Nobody can extend the time I have remaining. Would the days where I just watched over her as she slept her deep sleep, continue? Helplessly sitting by her bed was sure to be painful. Far more than crawling around a battlefield ever was. Sion. Do you want to take a trip somewhere? Like where exactly? Anywhere is fine. Nobody will chase us anymore. Nobody will get in our way. We can go anywhere in this entire world. It shouldn't be too hard to find a car or helicopter, and it wasn't like they had taken all the fuel into space. There may not be 4 seasons here, but there are any number of hot or cold locales and places with unusual natural features and buildings. Thank you, Ryou. A soft smile formed on Sion's face. But I think I'll be just fine here after all. As long as I can stay here with you until the end, that's enough for me. She plopped her head onto my shoulder. I softly wrapped my arm around her shoulder. We shared a kiss. Aww. This time, I pushed my lips against hers a bit more forcefully, so that I could trace her soft, slightly cold lips. Sion. And here you told me you hadn't gone soft. Did I? I hugged her slender shoulders even tighter. She didn't resist and cuddled up to me. Ryou, I'm a little mad. About earlier? It apparently wasn't a joke that she wanted me to kiss her, so her anger was reasonable. There's that too, but one other thing. Uh-oh, about Maya? You kissed Maya? That was beyond my control. I never imagined Maya would do something like that in a million years. Even I get mad at times. I do have those sorts of emotions. By those sorts of emotions, did she mean jealousy? But Sion, you're the only one I can kiss now. We're the only ones left. My answer would be the same no matter what. Sion said nothing and stared straight at me. There was no wind. There was a tense silence, like the lake, grass, forest, like the entire mountain had fallen into a slumber. What a surprise. You've got a real way with women, don't you? Sion blushed and was grumbling something, seemingly to herself. I don't know about that. I'm just putting my thoughts into words. In that case, may I say what's on my mind as well? Yeah. I gave her a firm nod. We were both pretty awkward when it came to this. However, now that we were all alone, now that our own words were the only words that would ever reach each other, it would be nice if we could speak our minds honestly. Hey, Ryou, what is it? Our eyes came together and we whispered to each other. There was no need to raise our voices. Gently speaking to one another was enough for us to understand each other. While I can still move these hands of mine freely, while I can still see you in this reality, I want to touch you more. I want you to kiss me more. And then, after a short pause, she pointed her unwavering eyes at me and spoke once more. Because I love you. I'm in love with you. Yeah. I couldn't come up with much to say in response to Sion's feelings. I feel the same. After finally mustering up the guts to say it, I realized something. They were here all along. All the emotions I was never able to harbor for anyone, not for my sister, for Alicia, nor for Levi, were right here in my heart. Sion, from here on out, I'll be with you forever. Yeah, together, forever. As she whispered that, she softly closed her eyes. I silently held her in my arms. Oh wow, such a beautiful moment where they're both finally able to express their feelings. And that's the thing as well, like, what did they say exactly about them being the only people in the world? So basically they're the only spoken words that are being said in the entire world. When you just think about that, like, if I'm talking right now, right, and probably all across the world, millions of other people, if not billions, I don't know how many there are on this planet, so forgive me if I overstated way too much by saying billions, but you get what I mean, right? So many other people are talking at the same time, but if you just bring that down to just on this entire whole planet, that there are only 2 people talking to each other, and those are the only spoken words at that moment, it's just mind-blowing when you actually think about it, that everyone else on this planet that used to be on this planet is just gone. There's only those 2 left. Dang. Holy crap. Well, at least they've finally been able to be upfront about their feelings and actually embrace it, rather than sort of not acknowledging it, not wanting to acknowledge it. I don't know the exact reason for it, why it maybe it's just all about the moment as well, right? Sometimes you have those feelings but you don't realize you have them, and then all in that one moment where it all just comes pouring out, and you actually not only just actually feel it but realize it as well. It's just so beautiful. But yeah, we're gonna end the video here. Holy crap. It's probably gonna be like a really emotional ending, and I think there's gonna be like 2 more videos more, but dang. Yeah, I want to thank you guys so very much for watching. I don't know, I just get really, not necessarily very emotional, but it just, it's calming in some weird way as well to me. I don't know why, but yeah. I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.